It's crazy to think we're already more than halfway through 2024. Hi everyone and welcome to Shah, Lusso, and yes, today we are talking about the best watches of 2024 so far. Now if you haven't already and you like watching these sorts of videos, then make sure you subscribe to the channel as well and hit the notification bell so you know when the next video comes out. So 2024 has been relatively eventful on the one hand, and on the other hand has been quite a chill year in terms of new watch releases. In terms of the off-season releases, there haven't been that many, and even Watches and Wonders did provide one of the most uneventful lineups from Rolex in particular in quite some time. But that isn't to say that there haven't been exciting watches, and those are the ones that I'm going to focus on today. Starting out with what in my view was one of those unexpected releases was the new Zenith Defy Extreme Diver. Now just a few weeks ago I did a video on the AP Royal Oak offshore diver and talked about how it is definitely a focused luxury diver. It's a luxury watch first that just happens to have a lot of practical features and all those ones specific of a dive watch. This Zenith release I think is very much in a similar vein. It's very much focused, of course being a Zenith, on the movement itself, derivative of the new Calibre 3600. This one doesn't have that insane 1/10 of a second timer. This works much more like a normal El Primero, so a nice smooth sweeping seconds hand. But of course, you still get all of the new innovations from the new generation of El Primero. But it's really the outside, the huge shocks of color, especially that orange, which pays homage to the A3648, which they actually did a proper reimagining of as well alongside this, which really stands out. Of course, on top of that, there's tons of great details such as the fully interchangeable straps. It comes with a rubber strap, a titanium strap, and adapters for a NATO. And a touch that I really like is that the 600 meters of water resistance very conveniently translates to 1,969 feet of water resistance. 1969, of course, being the year that the El Primero originally came out, probably the most important year in Zenith's history. In terms of dimensions, it is 42.5 millimeters in diameter. It is a little bit thick at 15.5 millimeters, but still something that I think could make for a very interesting comparison to an offshore diver, and I really hope I get the chance to do that comparison sometime soon. Next on my list is not the most elaborate introduction, it is just a color variation at the end of the day, but that is the two-tone Omega Speedmaster. Two-tone Moonwatches are not something common. There have been a few iterations, some were exclusive to the Italian market, but for the most part we're used to just seeing a plain Jane steel Moonwatch. This year already has featured the new white dial, which again, not something unique, but definitely a variation we don't regularly see in standard production. This is very much in the same vein of that. The Moonwatch is paving its way into being much more of a luxury piece compared to before when it was a purpose-built tool watch. Now, at least as of making this video, it hasn't lost any of that purpose and it is still one of the best bang for buck watches you can get in the steel variation, but seeing these little nods shows that they're moving slowly but surely in a similar direction to how Rolex did with its tool watches 10, 20 or 30 years ago. For now, it means we get even more variations of Speedmasters, which admittedly we didn't need anymore, but it's always nice to have them because for any person, for any taste, for any budget, there's always a Speedmaster variation that appeals. Next is probably one of the most controversial introductions of this year, and that is the Bremont Terra Nova. Now I have to admit, it was never a brand that got very high on my radar, not out of anything bad about it. What I do know was actually pretty cool, but it's just a brand that I don't know a lot about, which means I can look at this with a much fresher perspective. More than anything, I like what this represents. It's a different time period, it's a different start for a watch brand. We don't get that so often because of course, most of the commonly known watch brands are over 100 years old, so none of us were really alive when they were going through these teething processes of trying to find their way. I do like the nice big chunky numbers. It's a distinctive case design. The bracelet actually is a very unique design as well. I do think it's bold. I'd love to see it on the wrist to get a bit of a feel of how it looks. And I just want to see where this actually goes, if this actually helps the brand get the sort of positioning it needed, because apparently as a brand it has had a bit of trouble in terms of actually making any money. And the last thing you would want to see is watch brands being introduced and then going bust because they didn't make enough money. I think it just discourages other people to go and start new watch brands, and it consolidates everything just into the established ones. The new CEO of Bremont, Davide Cerato, He was the architect behind the Tudor Black Bay, behind the Renaissance of Mont Blanc's watches as well. So he does have plenty of experience in reinventing brands, arguably working to quite good effect. So I think it's something that, while yes, it's shaking people's opinions up now, it may pay dividends in the long term, and I'd love to get my hands on it just to see how it is objectively as a watch, not just within the context of how it compares to Bremont's previous offerings. So that's just my take on the best watches of 2024 so far. I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Which of these ones was your favorite, and which watches that I didn't mention are your top picks for 2024 so far, and what do you want to see throughout the rest of the year? I'd love to know what you guys think. Of course, if you like this video, then make sure you like it and share it. If you want to see more pictures and infographics of watches, then make sure you follow me on Instagram at Shah Lusso. If you want to see more videos of watches, then subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell as well so you know when the next video comes out. But thanks for joining me on this quick exploration of some of the most interesting watches of 2024 so far, and we'll catch you on the next video.